Hey everybody, this is Noah, and recently I've been asked a really interesting question, which is why do I care about private AI? And when do I use private AI compared to web based AI? And so this is a really important thing, I think, for pretty much everybody to understand, and everybody's going to have their own opinion on it. So I just want to share my opinion. So I, in all openness, use private AI or local AI models. As you can see in my list here, I have a bunch. I have a bunch of Mistral stuff. I have some Granite stuff, Phi, Olmo, a bunch of different models that are all locally here on my computer. But then when I was showing Open Webui to somebody the other day, they were like, hey, what are those ones with the links? I'm like, oh, those are my web-based models. And they're like, doesn't that defeat the purpose of Open Webui? I'm like, well, depends on your perspective, right? So, like, for me as an individual, I use both web-based models and local models, but I use them for very different things. And I like the convenience of having all of my models in one place. Like, as you can see here, I have a number of different Gemini models, I have my favorite Mistral models, and then I have my local models. All of them are located in one location. I like not having to go to the Mistral website or the Google website or all these other places when I want to use a model. So that's one of the reasons that I liked Chat LLM and still do. I still do have Chat LLM, but it's one of the main things that drew me to that in the beginning. So anyway, back to the main point. Practically speaking, when do I use local models compared to when do I use web-based models? Now, for me, the reason I use local models is mostly because I have I guess you could say, an idealist perspective of data privacy in the sense that I feel we should be able to keep our data private. We shouldn't have to turn over our data to be able to use things. And that's why I really like local models. It's not that I'm doing anything particularly like secret or sensitive or anything like that. It's more just an idealistic notion of I don't necessarily feel that every AI company should know every single question that I ask to their machine. So here's how I break down when I use local models versus when I use web-based models. Local models, I use a lot more when I am doing something focused on my personal professional work. So, as an example, as an academic, I might need to transcribe an image into text. Like there might be a bunch of stuff written down and it's part of a research project or something like that, and I can't share that data. That data has to stay local on my machine. It needs to be 100% safe and private and secure. In that case, I would use a local model. And for a vision model, the one that I really like right now is Granite 3.2 Vision. It's pretty small. It works great on my machine with 8 gigabytes of VRAM. So I really like that model. Another example would be emails. I am well known for not being the best at writing emails. As an example, let me think of a good way to word this. Let me put something in like Noah language. So I might say something like, and this would be like what goes through my head, not what I actually send in the email, right? But that's why I like having the local models on my computer that can help me make it more polite. So I might say something like this to Phi4, and Phi4 is one that I like the most for helping me rewrite emails. I might say something like, I am writing an email to a colleague. I need help making this more academically appropriate. So it might be something like this. The software you sent was awful. Nothing worked. Broken links. I shouldn't have to proof that for you. Please send when it's better and functional and you've done some basic quality testing. So like, I would never actually send that email, right? But that's probably what goes through a bunch of our heads when we get something and it doesn't work. So I like to go to Phi4 and ask for it to help me take something like this, that's just like what's going through my head, and put it in a polite way. So let's see what this says. I hope this message finds you well. I recently received the software you sent over, and I wanted to share some observations. I encountered several issues that affected its functionality, including broken links and other inconsistencies. It appears quality testing might be necessary. Blah, 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 blah. So you can see in 2 seconds, I took Phi4 was able to take the completely unfiltered version and put it into something much nicer, which I could then edit to make, more specific for my use case very, very quickly. So I used to spend a lot of time trying to write emails in an appropriate way, in a way that was like professional and was going to be well received. Because if we're honest, text is a terrible way to communicate. Like, text is terrible. You can't actually hear the inflection in somebody's voice. So as an example, if I was talking to my friend, I'd be like, dude, that software you sent over was terrible. It had all these broken things. That doesn't come through in text, right? In text, it's just like, that software you sent was awful, nothing worked, broken link. And it just seems mean, right? As compared to if you were actually talking to your friend, it might not come across as mean. It would come across as like, wow, I can't believe that this is that broken. How can we fix it? So I like to use 5.4 for email writing and helping me get a jump start on how to write my emails more appropriately based on the completely unfiltered stuff that is going through my head. And no, I'm not saying I just copy paste what 5.4 says and drop it in an email. That's not what I'm saying at all. I use it to get ideas on how to say things nicer and how to say things more professionally than what is going through my head in that moment, because using 5.4 to do this takes me about 5 seconds. Sitting down and trying to do that from scratch is really challenging for me. It's not like writing professional emails is not one of my skill sets. It's something that's very challenging for me to do. So that's when I like to use private models. Anything related to my research, I like to use private models, unless the research is actually testing the large models, but that's a whole different thing. So anything related to my research, I like to use private models. Anything related to my professional life, like email communications and things like that, I like to use private models. Now, when do I use the large models? Because as you could see, I have Google models here and I have Mistral models here. I'm going to use CodeStroll as an example. I absolutely love CodeStroll for coding, and if I need to develop a website or something like that, this can give me a really, really good jumpstart. So as an example, I can say something like, I want to design a web page about how peregrine falcons are the fastest animal on Earth. Please help me design a modern landing page, include fancy design features such as mouse over animations and transitions between sections. Okay, so I literally just made this up off the top of my head, right? But this is one of the use cases that I would use CodeStroll for, and we'll just see what it comes up with. So as you can see, it's pretty much instant, really, really fast. Gives us the CSS and the Java, everything else. And one of the wonderful features of Open Webui, you just click artifacts here, and now you can see, this is kind of a funny website. I didn't tell it anything about pictures, colors, or pictures or anything. So it just came up with exactly what I asked for, of mouse over animations and transitions with some very, very vibrant colors. And I like vibrant colors, so it's kind of fun. But you can see this is what type of thing I would use a web-based model for, is creating some sort of code very, very fast that I don't need to keep private. This would be something that's going to be public facing anyway, so I don't care. The next thing that I might use is I really enjoy using Mistral small and large for general feedback on things. So if I have a general question, or I generally just need to chat with an LLM, but I don't need to keep it private, let's say I need to use a really, really big model, then that is the type of case where I would go to Mistral large. Now, the Google models here. So at the time I'm recording this is March 20th of 2025. The image generation in Open Webui doesn't currently work yet. There's a couple people working on like pipelines and things like that to get the image generation working, but currently I can't just click this image generation model and have it actually give me an image here yet. So when that is working, I will be using that, because Gemini's image generation is actually pretty stinking good. So that said, Gemini Flash and Gemini Pro are both very, very fast. I really enjoy using them, to be honest, but I will say I do not actually use them that much in Open Webui. I use them more outside of Open Webui. So where I really like using the Gemini models is for data extraction. So I do a lot of systematic review and meta-analysis, and Gemini models are very, very fast, and I found them to be pretty stinking accurate in terms of how quickly and how well they can extract data from PDF papers. So if you haven't seen my other videos on AI-assisted data extraction, I have a whole playlist on it, but those videos walk you through how to use a Gemini models to help you extract data. And I've been really, really happy with the results from that. So that said, I mostly included these for completeness right now because I have a free API key and I like being able to access them if I want to, and they're just fast. So, I mean, let me show you an example of how fast Gemini 2.0 is, okay? So if I say like, what is social agency theory in the context of pedagogical agents? Like, it's just really, really, really fast, and that never ceases to amaze me how quickly it gives us the results and how good the results typically are. So I found that the new Gemini models are actually pretty stinking good. I in all openness, I didn't used to like the Gemini models very much. It wasn't until Flash 1.5 and Pro 1.5 that I actually started enjoying using the Gemini models, and now 2.0 Flash is just, it's really good. I've been really impressed with 2.0 Flash so far, so I've been pretty happy with that. So if I had to revisit in big picture, you know, the too long didn't read version of this, I use private AI for things like helping me with email or my research that I do not want being used as training data. These are things that I want private to me. I am not ready to release them to the world. I don't want other people to see them or know about them, right? And for me, email is the biggest one because, like I said, writing professional emails quickly is not a skill set that I have. It's, you know, I've been in academia for 10 or 15 years, I guess. Yeah, about 10 years, 11 years, something like that. I really wish these types of tools were around earlier in my career. And any of my friends who I've worked with who are out there, you know this is true because you've gotten emails from me before and you're like, what are you talking about, Noah? And you know me, so I'm not being mean. It's just my brain has a hard time taking its thoughts and putting them into a very professional format for an email. So I find that using the private AI is a really good way for me to get a jump start on making an email written more appropriately than it would be otherwise if it was just coming straight out of my brain. It really helps me speed up that process if I can get kind of some of the words there and some of the formatting so that I can go through and actually rewrite it in my own words. So that's the big use case for me for private AI. Now, like I said, I still use these big web-based models. I use Claude, I use Gemini, I use Mistral. I like them all for different things. Just my use case is different. I make sure that anything I'm using those big models for is things that I don't mind being public facing. I don't mind that being something that's going to be used to help train their models in the future. And to me, that is the big differentiator in how I use them. So I hope this video has been helpful for you guys. I really enjoy talking about AI. I really enjoy learning about AI. All of these things have been super, super fun for me. Maybe a week ago now, I posted a video about NVIDIA Digits, or now the DGX Spark. I learned so much from you guys. So thank you so much for all your comments on that video. I learned so much about the pros and cons of that machine as compared to the Asus machine, as compared to the Mac machines. Like, I can't even begin to tell you how much I really appreciate all your feedback on that. So if you guys have additional use cases of private versus public or web-based AI, please let me know. When do you use private AI? When do you like private AI? When do you think it's usable? And please, let's make sure we keep our conversation professional, academic, like everybody be respectful to one another, please. I really like the back and forth comments that we got from people on the previous one, where 99% of it, everybody was super respectful to one another and they were talking objectively and they weren't being demeaning or insulting. It was wonderful. So if you like private AI in academia, you know, let us know why, let us know what machine you're running or what GPU you're running, if something's working particularly well. If you have models that you love, like for me, if you guys watch the channel, I love the Granite models. I really love the Mistral models. Those two are probably my ultimate favorites right now, but I use each model for something different. Maybe I need to make a video about that because I've had a number of my students and some of my friends ask me like, hey, what do you use for this? What do you use for this? So maybe I'll, now that I'm talking about it, maybe I'll go record a video on that right now. But yeah, so let me know what models you guys like that are private AI, and let me know what you like in terms of the public AI. I'm really curious how you guys are using this in your professional life to make your lives easier. So that said, I'm gonna stop talking now to prevent myself from rambling too long. Thank you guys so much. Please like and subscribe to help support the channel if you have not already, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have a wonderful day.